Prince William wasn't supposed to be there that day, but when he stepped into Prince Andrew's hidden garage at Royal Lodge, what he uncovered shocked everyone. Sealed crates, secret ledgers, and photos that were never meant to be seen. Forgotten emails, foreign transactions, and coded files. This wasn't just a royal property anymore. It was a vault of buried scandal. What was Andrew hiding? And why now? Stay tuned. This changes everything the monarchy tried to keep quiet. The day the door was opened. On October 27, 2025, just past 10:30 a.m., Prince William stepped through the ivy-framed gates of Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park. His arrival was not announced to the press, nor expected by the Duke of York. William was accompanied by 2 Crown Estate inspectors, a solicitor from the Privy Council office, and a senior royal aide. Officially, they were there to conduct a quarterly lease compliance audit. Unofficially, the visit was fueled by mounting pressure from King Charles III and the Cabinet Committee for Constitutional Affairs. Rumors surrounding Prince Andrew's unresolved financial entanglements and refusal to vacate the Crown Estate property had made their way into closed-door discussions in Parliament. William's presence meant this wasn't simply an inspection, it was a warning. Royal Lodge had been Prince Andrew's refuge since 2004, when he assumed occupancy under a 75-year lease arrangement, reportedly secured with a lump sum payment of £1 million. Once the favored residence of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the estate boasts over 30 rooms, a private chapel, and manicured lawns that rival any stately home in Surrey. But by 2023, the property was increasingly viewed by the public as a gilded monument to unchecked royal privilege. Maintenance costs had soared past £400,000 per year, with unverified reports suggesting Andrew was behind on essential payments. Despite multiple requests to downsize and move into Frogmore Cottage, the Duke refused. Tensions with King Charles had reached a breaking point, and now it was William's turn to apply pressure. The initial review of the residence was polite but clinical. Inspectors catalogued items in the drawing room, conservatory, and main hallway. Everything appeared in order until they reached a seldom-used side corridor near the private media room. An inspector noted that the wall dimensions didn't align with the official floor plans filed in 2005. Specifically, a segment of wall was approximately 30 centimeters thicker than expected. Upon closer inspection, a faint seam traced the wallpaper's floral pattern, leading to a concealed door partially hidden behind a bookcase. With Prince William now visibly alert, an official retrieved a small toolkit and released the latch. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow, unlit passage. The corridor extended nearly 11 meters, its paneled walls untouched by light or fresh air. A faint metallic scent lingered, oil, perhaps, or rust. At its end stood a sealed garage-style door that, curiously, had no corresponding access from the outside. By this point, William had taken a step back, arms folded, face unreadable. A request was immediately sent to Crown Property Enforcement, citing the discovery of an unregistered space on Crown land. Royal protocol dictated that any unlisted room, particularly those sealed, required legal clearance to open. It was clear to everyone, whatever lay behind that door had been hidden for years. And now, the heir to the throne had just found it. Less than 45 minutes after William's team uncovered the hidden passageway, legal clearance was granted. As the corridor was secured and photographed, the tone of the day shifted. The Crown's audit had turned into a quiet emergency. No longer was this about lease terms, it was about secrets sealed in silence. By 11:58 a.m., the team was ready to unseal the garage and expose what had been locked away for over a decade. A secret garage revealed. With the lock removed at 11:58 a.m., the garage door groaned open for the first time in what was later estimated to be at least 15 years. The hinges, rusted and resistant, gave way under force. The air that escaped was thick, stale, and tinged with the scent of aged documents and machinery. The garage, measuring approximately 9 by 12 meters, was windowless and unlit, save for the dim glow of inspection torches. Dust particles danced like ghosts in the beam. It was immediately clear. This was not just storage. It was preservation. The room had been prepared, sealed, and then forgotten, or hidden on purpose. 3 large crates stood in the far corner, padlocked and tagged with faded labels: Alpha 07, Redwood 6, and GH221B. Along the adjacent wall sat a bolted steel cabinet. When opened, it revealed a false back panel, thin plywood designed to deceive. Behind it lay a hidden compartment lined with fabric. Inside were tightly bundled envelopes, 3 external hard drives wrapped in black cloth, and several leather-bound ledgers dating back to 2006. The ledgers were watermarked with faint initials, CPAF and KA. None belonging to any known staff at the Royal Lodge or the Crown Estate. Prince William remained near the threshold, silent but observant. Multiple witnesses said he appeared tight-lipped, his expression fixed. The names on the ledgers were reportedly cross-referenced against lists from the 2008 to 2013 diplomatic missions in Central Asia and the Middle East. Several matched entries previously seen in media speculation about Andrew's business contacts in Kazakhstan and Dubai. Investigators immediately invoked chain of custody procedures. By 1:15 p.m., every item in the garage was photographed, labeled, and secured in tamper-proof evidence containers. The room itself was declared a restricted access site under emergency Crown security protocol. Alongside the crates and documents were several pieces of covered furniture, ornate chairs, a desk, and what appeared to be a dismantled filing system. None were registered in previous audits of Royal Lodge. In a small side table drawer, an envelope marked Private, NYC. February 2011 was found. Its contents remain under seal, but its title raised immediate alarm. That date aligned with a reported meeting between Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, which Andrew previously claimed had not occurred. This was no longer a matter of financial mismanagement. It was now a timeline challenge. The documents might rewrite everything the Duke had said publicly for the past 6 years. By the time the garage was closed and sealed at 2:05 p.m., a team of armed security officers was stationed at every entrance to Royal Lodge. The evidence had been boxed, barcoded, and driven to the secure Windsor Archive holding facility under full escort. But what mattered most wasn't the transport. It was what lay inside those crates. And within the next hour, investigators would open them. Crates, ledgers, and hard drives. At exactly 3:06 p.m., inside a secured evidence room, forensic analysts began opening the first crate, Alpha 07. The metal trim was reinforced, requiring bolt cutters and clearance from senior royal legal counsel. Inside, neatly arranged bundles of paper were wrapped in archival plastic, labeled in chronological order from 2004 to 2022. The ledgers, marked with initials and geographic notations, were no ordinary journals. They contained transaction logs, financial transfers, and notations involving shell entities tied to locations like Cyprus, Belize, and Kazakhstan. Terms like Gatehouse, Pacific Wire, and CAS Final appeared again and again. The second crate, Redwood 6, contained digital media. 3 external hard drives, 2 USB keys, and several CD-ROMs were inside a locked inner box, cushioned by foam and clearly preserved for long-term secrecy. The drives carried handwritten tags: 2007 trip, GHUAE, and KAZ, CONF. Forensic teams immediately began digital imaging. One folder, recovered from the USB, was labeled Private Settlement Core 2022, implying it may relate to Andrew's high-profile settlement with Virginia Giuffre. That settlement, reached in February 2022, was supposed to close the door on public speculation. But now, the door was wide open again. The third and final crate, GH221B, housed photographs. Dozens of envelopes contained images spanning nearly 15 years. Some were benign, public events, charity galas, but others were more troubling. A handful depicted private gatherings overseas, reportedly hosted at estates not listed in official travel records. A few photographs bore metadata timestamps that aligned with known visits to Epstein's homes in Palm Beach and New York City. While no illegal activity was captured in the photos, the implications were profound. Why had Andrew hidden these pictures? Who took them? And who else might appear in future frames not yet disclosed? By 6 p.m., Royal Lodge was in full lockdown. William had already departed the estate, reportedly speaking to King Charles from Sandringham within the hour. The public still knew nothing, but behind the palace walls, a reckoning had begun. The crates, the ledgers, and the photographs were more than evidence. They were keys to the monarchy's most dangerous secret. Numbers don't lie. When forensic accountants sat down with the ledgers pulled from crate Alpha 07, they expected standard personal expenses, perhaps travel logs or maintenance fees. What they found, beginning late on October 27, 2025, was far more complex. Each page, written in tidy block script, traced financial activities spanning from 2004 to 2022. Several entries were marked with code words: Pacific Wire, Emerald, Crown Transfer A3, and KZREFGATE. These weren't mundane line items. They looked more like components of a long-standing financial network that extended across continents. At least 6 pages listed wire transfers routed through foreign financial institutions, with account names redacted or replaced by initials. AF, CP, K, the amounts ranged from £18,000 to over £1.2 million, with destinations including Kazakhstan, the British Virgin Islands, and Eastern Europe. What stunned analysts was the frequency. More than 112 separate entries were noted between 2010 and 2016, with at least 23 marked as originating from consultancy accounts based in the UAE. These weren't gifts or reimbursements. They suggested layered transfers, a hallmark of money laundering or high-level privacy structuring. One entry dated February 22, 2022, simply read, "Settlement complete, CAS," aligning uncannily with the date of Prince Andrew's civil settlement with Virginia Giuffre. Although no recipient was named and the amount was redacted, investigators flagged the entry. When paired with a nearby note, "External contribution, Emerald 2, the implication grew darker. Could this entry hint that the financial burden of the settlement was shared or routed through offshore accounts? Legal teams issued non-disclosure seals around the page, pending further review. What remained most mysterious were a series of pages in the final ledger. They contained hand-drawn arrows, annotations, and curious phrases like "Final Gatehouse, completed," and "Pacific Drop 3 confirmed, GR." Several of the terms, though speculative, matched known vocabulary used in internal memos from Andrew's previous trade envoy missions between 2001 and 2002-2011. If these documents did indeed trace back to state-linked ventures, they represented a potential breach of royal neutrality, and if proven credible, they would be the most explosive revelation since Edward VIII's abdication. While the ledgers whispered in numbers and initials, the photographs spoke in frozen moments. The next wave of evidence would come not from bank statements, but from the gaze of a camera lens, images that could rewrite a decade of official denials. What the team found in crate GH221B would raise new names, old ghosts, and geopolitical echoes the monarchy could not ignore. Faces in the frame. The first photo envelope opened at 9:12 a.m. on October 28, 2025, contained 15 glossy prints stamped NYC 2011 on their backs. Analysts immediately recognized the interiors: Epstein's Manhattan mansion, with its dark wood walls and eccentric artwork. In 3 separate images, Prince Andrew appeared in casual wear, seated alongside individuals whose identities remain sealed. One photo showed Andrew at a dinner table beside a woman bearing resemblance to a previously unnamed figure connected to Ghislaine Maxwell's social circle. Another showed Epstein himself, blurry but unmistakable. Of the 87 total photographs found, at least 31 included Andrew, either alone or in group settings. Dates ranged from 2006 to 2013, aligning precisely with the time Andrew claimed his relationship with Epstein had been severed. One particularly damning image bore the timestamp March 14, 2011, Palm Beach, and showed Andrew standing near the rear terrace of Epstein's Florida estate, clothing and backdrop identical to video clips once considered unverifiable. The team confirmed the image's authenticity using embedded metadata from a now obsolete Canon EOS 5D camera. But the photos weren't limited to Epstein-linked locations. Others placed Andrew at private villas in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and a seaside compound in Ajman, UAE. In several images, he is seen with unidentified businessmen, 2 of whom matched descriptions from leaked diplomatic briefings between 2009 and 2011. There were no incriminating acts depicted, but the mere presence of these moments, carefully hidden in a garage and sealed behind a false wall, shifted the burden of proof dramatically. What had once been deniable now became a matter of interpretation. And for the public, interpretation rarely favors secrecy. Additional envelopes marked "Private, Do Not Duplicate" contained photographs of documents. These were snapshots of typed letters, receipts, and even what appeared to be diplomatic visas. The question arose immediately: why would Andrew, or anyone, photograph sensitive documents rather than scan them? Investigators speculated that the photos were taken during travel, possibly to preserve records without alerting local officials. The presence of multiple currencies and handwritten memos in the background supported that theory. The photographs added dimension to the ledger entries, but they were still shadows on the wall. The next clues came from whispers long buried in news archives, names, locations, and contacts that matched neither protocol nor palace narrative. Now, as investigators turned to email printouts and correspondence logs, the Epstein thread took center stage. The Epstein thread. Among the materials pulled from the steel cabinet was a slim folder labeled Private NYC, February 2011. Inside were 11 email printouts, 5 handwritten notes, and a folded business card bearing the name J.E. Private Office, an unmistakable reference to Jeffrey Epstein. Analysts immediately cross-referenced the emails against data from the 2019 Newsnight interview and publicly leaked communications from 2015 to 2017. Shockingly, one message, dated February 10, 2011, appeared to confirm a scheduled meeting between Andrew and Epstein at the Pierre Hotel in New York. This directly contradicted the Duke's public statements, claiming their last interaction was in 2010. One email, printed on letterhead from a now-defunct consultancy firm in Zurich, bore the subject line, "Final Arrangements, CAS Package." The date, February 21st, 2022. Experts flagged this as potentially linked to Andrew's civil settlement. If so, it suggested third-party negotiation channels were used, possibly shielding financial contributors or structuring tax-advantaged payouts through foreign intermediaries. The message was unsigned, but its footer listed an encrypted email alias that appeared in at least 3 other printouts across the cache. The handwritten notes included one particularly cryptic message. GR delivered Pacific 3. Final handshake KZ in autumn. The implications were immediate. R may have been shorthand for a known contact from Andrew's Kazakhstan engagements. The phrase Pacific 3 aligned with ledger entries found in crate Alpha 07, suggesting a possible transaction or asset movement. Investigators placed this note under sealed review, pending handwriting analysis by a joint team from GCHQ and MY5. Finally, 2 internal memos, stamped with "Strictly Confidential, Palace," suggested knowledge within the royal household of Andrew's ongoing ties to Epstein's network as late as 2012. Whether these were part of a warning system or damage control effort remains unclear. But their presence in a concealed garage cabinet, not archived through official channels, suggested deliberate concealment. At that moment, the investigation ceased being about Andrew alone. It became about what the monarchy knew and when. As the Epstein connection sharpened into focus, pressure inside Buckingham Palace and across Westminster escalated. The ledgers whispered, the photos stared, the emails confirmed. What came next was a palace bracing for impact. A royal firewall beginning to crack under the weight of one man's secrets. The Palace in Crisis. By October 29, 2025, less than 48 hours after Prince William's fateful visit to Royal Lodge, the mood inside Buckingham Palace had shifted from concern to full-blown containment. An emergency meeting was held at 7:30 a.m. in the Queen's Gallery, attended by King Charles III, senior courtiers, legal counsel, and representatives from the Royal Communications Office. The agenda: damage control. With evidence mounting and leaks looming, the monarchy faced a critical question. How much of this could be buried, and how much had to be sacrificed? King Charles, known for his measured temperament, reportedly instructed aides to assess every title, every lease, and every privilege held by Prince Andrew. Behind closed doors, several officials proposed a forced eviction from Royal Lodge and immediate withdrawal of remaining ceremonial roles. The problem was optics. The Duke of York had long been a liability, but now he was an active threat to the monarchy's already strained credibility. According to insiders, Charles considered invoking letters patent to strip Andrew of his final royal styles, a move not seen since the Windsor exile of 1936. Meanwhile, royal advisors debated how to position William's involvement. Should it be framed as coincidence or a deliberate gesture of royal justice? Publicly, palace spokespeople maintained that the inspection was procedural. Privately, William's decisive role was seen as both risky and necessary, a future king stepping into the fire to extinguish what decades of silence had allowed to smolder. His phone call with Charles that evening, logged at 9:03 p.m., reportedly ended with one phrase: It's bigger than we thought. At St. James's Palace, courtiers scrambled to pre-draft responses for various contingencies. If the documents were authenticated, if legal action emerged, if foreign governments requested cooperation. Meanwhile, a legal firewall was erected around the Windsor Evidence Archive. Armed guards were posted. Document access was reduced to 6 authorized personnel. The tone was clear. The palace was no longer preserving heritage, it was managing fallout. And for the first time in decades, the institution looked fragile from within. As crisis talks simmered behind palace walls, the outside world roared with questions. News vans lined up outside Windsor Castle. Headlines exploded. The people were no longer waiting for palace statements. They were forming their own verdicts. And in the court of public opinion, silence was guilt's favorite disguise. Public fury erupts. By October 30th, 2025, the British press was in full frenzy. The Daily Mirror ran the headline, "What Lies Beneath? Royal Secrets Found in Garage of Shame." Across social media, hashtags like Andrew Garage Files, Windsor Cover-Up, and Royal Reckoning trended in 14 countries, with nearly 9 million mentions in just 24 hours. Public opinion was on fire, and Parliament was feeling the heat. A poll released by YouGov that morning revealed that 78% of respondents believed Prince Andrew should lose all remaining royal privileges. An astonishing 64% believed criminal charges should be considered if financial wrongdoing was confirmed. On talk radio, callers fumed over taxpayer money supporting a man now viewed as the monarchy's liability. Some questioned how much Queen Elizabeth II had known and why nothing had been done during her reign. The narrative shifted from personal scandal to institutional rot. The impact extended beyond Andrew. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, previously seen as poised and apolitical, were now trending online, caught in headlines that linked them to their father's residence and finances. Photos of Sarah Ferguson leaving a charity gala in Mayfair that evening showed her surrounded by paparazzi. Royal aides tried to protect the daughters, but the association was already branded into public consciousness. One commentator on BBC's Question Time asked, "When did the royals stop being stewards and start acting like oligarchs?" In the wake of the uproar, Prime Minister Lucy Walden issued a rare statement calling for complete transparency regarding the management of Crown estate properties and the activities of those residing within Parliament's Ethics Subcommittee, convened an emergency session to explore legal grounds for auditing all royal leases. International outlets from CNN to Le Monde amplified the crisis, linking it to a broader reckoning with hereditary privilege. Overnight, a garage in Windsor had become the symbol of everything people feared about secretive power. While the public dissected every leaked image and inferred motive, investigators continued their deep dive. One final set of items remained under analysis: digital files from hard drives found in Crate Redwood 6. What was stored on those drives would offer the most damning evidence yet. Emails, photos, and settlement drafts that drew a direct line between private sin and public deception. Emails, settlements, and unmistakable links. On October 31st, 2025, at 2:15 p.m., digital forensic specialists at the Windsor Archive facility decrypted the first of 3 hard drives found in the sealed garage. Labeled KZ-QUENF, the drive contained more than 3,400 files, including email archives, PDF contracts, scanned passports, and a subfolder marked Settlement 2022. The data spanned from 2005 to early 2023, and within minutes, analysts realized the scope was bigger than anyone expected. Inside the folder titled Private Correspondence, JE, investigators found multiple exchanges between Andrew and aliases believed to be operated by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. One email, dated February 12, 2011, included an itinerary for a private meeting in Dubai, with contacts later connected to offshore accounts listed in the ledgers. Another, titled Rearrangement Confirmed, discussed transfer terms involving an unnamed third party. The implications were immense. Not only had Andrew continued communicating with Epstein post-2008 conviction, but those discussions were also intertwined with money movements across borders. In a separate encrypted folder labeled NY Settlement, a draft legal agreement dated February 15, 2022, appeared to align with Andrew's confidential settlement with Virginia Giuffre. The document included clauses about non-disclosure, property liens, and payment arrangements routed through an entity listed in the ledger under Emerald II. Analysts confirmed the file had been last accessed in April 2022, 3 months after the settlement was finalized. It was unclear why it remained on a private drive, unless, of course, the original files were never turned over to legal authorities. One final discovery shifted the tone permanently. A Word document titled Meeting Notes Gatehouse listed names, figures, and a date, October 18, 2011. That same week, Andrew had been reported in Astana, Kazakhstan, representing the UK in trade discussions. The notes suggested side dealings, possibly in oil futures, with payments tracked via shell companies. Nothing was definitively criminal, but when paired with ledger codes, email timelines, and settlement drafts, the pattern became undeniable. At best, it revealed a gross breach of ethical standards. At worst, it hinted at royal complicity in covert financial dealings. By November 1st, the investigation had exhausted the physical evidence, yet the fallout had just begun. With evidence mounting and public confidence sinking, one final question loomed over Windsor, Downing Street, and the British people. What would the monarchy do now? And would it be enough? What the Crown must confront now. On the morning of November 2nd, 2025, King Charles III summoned his inner council for a closed-door session at Sandringham House. Present were Prince William, Lord Chamberlain, Lord Parker, and select members of the Privy Council. The agenda? Resolving the Royal Lodge crisis. Over the course of 3 hours, proposals were floated, from publicly revoking Andrew's lease to initiating constitutional reform over Crown estate oversight. Every option was drastic. Every option was too late. Later that day, the palace issued its longest press release since the death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. It acknowledged the inspection at Royal Lodge, confirmed the seizure of archival materials, and stated that a full review of royal residency standards was underway. Prince Andrew was not mentioned by name, but neither was he defended. The absence spoke louder than words. Public reception was brutal. One op-ed in the Times read, "A royal institution, not a royal immunity." In Parliament, the dominoes fell quickly. By November 3rd, MP Julia Harland introduced a bill requiring mandatory audits of all royal properties leased through the Crown estate. Support crossed party lines. Meanwhile, the Financial Crimes Division submitted a request to open a full investigation into possible offshore transactions involving members of the royal family. For the first time since 1992, the term annus horribilis resurfaced in political debate, this time with a digital paper trail. As for Prince William, insiders say his decisive role in the Royal Lodge inspection marked a turning point. Public support for him surged to 82%, according to a Snap poll by Ipsos Mori. In a symbolic gesture, he ordered a comprehensive audit of all his and Catherine's charitable finances, stating, "Transparency is the only inheritance I seek." The monarchy had been bruised, but in William, some saw a future that could rebuild what secrecy had tried to destroy. From dusty floorboards to damning documents, what started as a quiet inspection has spiraled into a royal reckoning. Prince Andrew's secrets are no longer sealed, and the questions they raise cut straight to the crown. Will the palace bury the truth? Or finally face it? And what role will Prince William play in the storm to come? Like, share, and subscribe. Because this story isn't over. And what's uncovered next might be even more explosive.